Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Wil. March Madness is upon us, and this episode is going to be dedicated to one of the more fun professional or collegiate tournaments of any kind. Let's just put it that way. On an annual basis, ton of fun. So we'll touch base on that. But before we do, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. And want to give a shout out to Hard Rock Bet for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you, Hard Rock Bet. And if you have some strong feelings on the tournament and you don't have a platform that you use for placing your wager, please consider Hard Rock Bet. How you doing, Nick?
Living the dream one day at a time. I love it. It's Friday and March Madness. How you doing, winners?
Yeah, fun time. And already day one in the books and never disappoints. But we wanted to chat high level about some of the teams that we're thinking could be strong performers, and regardless of the bracket or whatever. So you might hear teams in the same bracket, but it's just who do we think are the stronger teams coming into the tournament, as well as some surprise teams that we think you should look out for. So any words you want to say, Nick, before we jump into it?
No, this is by far my favorite time of the year. And if anybody who knows me and follow us on Two for the Win, they know that we are both very sports-minded people. But since forever, March Madness, nothing beats March Madness. And we're gonna probably discuss next week about different sport and what we like the most about the playoff structure, brackets, and stuff like that. Really, what I like the most about it is really like the enthusiasm of people during March Madness. Even people who couldn't care less about basketball are watching it. And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of it. And every single first round, second round, Sweet 16, etc., you have upsets or you have unbelievable things happening. And it tends that, you know, games go to the wire like so many more times than any other time or any other game or any other sports. Like this is the time that anything can happen, and that's the beauty of basketball when it's a one game series.
Oh yeah, and especially if it's an upset with a buzzer beater shot. Like those are always the ones that are like people jumping off the couch. Or yeah, you ever see that clip of Joe Rogan and them at UFC when they just go bananas when something happens? That's kind of how it is when the upset hits a buzzer beater, and of course busts a lot of brackets and cause everyone to go crying
I
because they're not
love
going to
it.
win their
I love it.
$1 million bracket
And
challenge.
that's the reason why there's never been in the history of history, never been a person who had a full bracket correct, because it's almost impossible. The amount of probability that you have on a bracket being correct it's impossible. And usually after day one, I didn't see what the percentage left was in the bracketology, but usually after the first round, so by tonight, you will have like less than 2% people with a chance to win it, if anything, if that. So
Yeah.
so that's really like okay. And that's why you have like people throwing money. Like I remember my Cuban a few years back said like I give like $10 million for the person who has the correct bracket and stuff like that. And it never happened. So there's not a lot of risk, but it's a lot of publicity.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, you want to kick us off with a team you're looking at as
Sure.
having strong momentum?
Sure. Well, when we talk about momentum, and again, I will take all my love or hate for teams away because I'm very, like opinionated about teams I like and I don't like, and you know that. But I will take
You?
that. I will
No.
take. Yes, I am, and I'm saying it. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I know.
But Florida Gators, the Gators are on a roll. The way they play, it's easy, passing first, like a smooth. You don't have like one player who's doing it all. You have like literally that they play so well, so beautiful basketball, and that's really what I'm shocked by because it's not something we are used to when we talk about the Gators since the time of Donovan and Yannick Noah and Horford and all that. So
Yeah.
really, Florida for me are the team that I don't want to see. Is the team that I don't want to see if I'm an opponent right now. Like I want to see them as far away. So if you're in their bracket, I think that they are the one that I'm the number one threat. I think for this tournament is Florida Gators.
That's funny. I was going to say the same thing, so you stole my thunder. That's what we get for not just having organic conversations versus planning it out. I thought the way they won in the SEC tournament was extremely impressive. You're right; they got a style of play that plays good. I think it's part of the challenge with college basketball now is you don't have teams that stay together, for very long. So you never really get to know the players unless you're a huge follower. Like I know you follow very closely, so you track these guys because they're usually one and done. And I think like when you think about the nil money and what it does, I mean, here Florida put together a team and they're fantastic. So it's not like you mentioned the Billy Donovan and Yannick Noah and Horford. Like that team grew up together over a couple of years. So you got to know the players. You think of the old Duke teams, UNLV teams, Michigan. You just followed them. North Carolina. Now it's not the same, but you can have a team like Florida who hasn't had a great run the last several years, but I think in my mind they're the favorite, along with the team that I'll mention is Duke. I think if Flag is healthy, I don't think Duke is like dominant Duke, like they can just skate through to the Final Four. But I do think they have a legitimate shot to do well, and it would be interesting, to see those two teams match up in the tournament if it's possible.
Yeah, so you name your second one. Let's name a third one. So we both named three teams. So Florida for both of us, then Duke. You go for the third one.
I think the third one, I'm kind of torn because I think Auburn just hasn't beaten the really top teams much lately. They lose to Alabama, they lose to Florida. I mean, Alabama, they seem strong. I'm really kind of tough. I guess I'll go with Alabama, between Alabama and Auburn. I just think something about Auburn just isn't clicking as well like it was for majority of the year. I mean, they can beat average teams. Like it wouldn't shock me for them to go to the Final Four and make some noise. But I'll pick Alabama over Auburn.
Good. So I understand what you're saying. Duke was my number 2 team as well, so that was definitely what I felt about the team. The way that they won the ACC tournament without Cooper Flack and I forgot the name of the other one, but the way they won like easily their ACC tournament. I know that North Carolina came back in semifinal and had a scare there, but literally that was not a problem in championship game. So yeah, no, I think that it's Duke number 2, also my number 2 teams. My number 3 team, I had to think because Auburn, Alabama are 2 that comes up a lot, but I picked, and it's a surprise, Michigan State.
See, that's going to be one of my ones who I think are going to be sneaky. So you took that one on me.
Yeah. Now, so Michigan State. Why? Because of Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo is literally Mr. March Madness. Like this guy go with very average team very far a lot of times, and this team is good. I know that they've been upset by your Wisconsin Badgers team, but I still believe.
How do I do the W? There it is. The W.
Yeah, then that's gonna be the team is not gonna go anywhere for me. But
they still. You got, if you're not going to win the March Madness, at least you can win your conference tournament and get some excitement.
So yeah, you will pick them for your team who may be upsetting, and it's a good choice because not a lot of people expect them to be top 3. But for me, the way they played against Michigan 2 times that I saw, I think we saw one together when we were in the Hard Rock one day.
Yeah,
we saw Michigan State. So that is definitely. I'm impressed, and then the way they coach. That's literally the reason why I picked them as number 3. But the other team you mentioned are definitely an option as well. So yeah, we have our top 3. So Will has Florida, Duke, and Alabama, I believe you said. Yeah. And I have Florida, Duke, Michigan State as number 3. Let's go now to the 3 team we think will disappoint.
Oh, disappoint. I thought it was.
Let's start with disappoint.
Okay.
Let me do surprise.
Disappoint. Okay. Disappoint. I'll go with Auburn because I just kind of shared a little bit about Alabama and Auburn as kind of my toss-up choice. But I just, again, they're just not winning the really tough matchups. So I'm going to say Auburn disappoints because I think a lot of people who don't follow college basketball won't
Okay.
realize that they've kind of been on a little bit of a downward trajectory because their record's still going to be great. They'll still have a really good seed. So I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed with Auburn. How about you?
I agree. I will start with another one, but the team who would disappoint for me um, is, and I don't like to say that really, but I think Tennessee, because Tennessee has one of the strong team, but I don't believe in Coach Barnes because he's an ex-coach of my Longhorns, and
Yeah.
he never could get us over the hump ever.
Yeah.
Then he go to Tennessee, and kind of the same thing happened. He had a couple of good years, like with Cooper Nut, and stuff like that. But Kenneth, sorry, not Cooper Nut, Kenneth. So I just don't know if he has it. And the team was really up and down. They finished very strong, but they were like up and down. So I think Tennessee is my first team that I think will be disappointing in this tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think Tennessee, they just never, they're another one. They just don't seem to win the big games. And usually teams that are kind of not playing well getting into the tournament, like obviously, I don't know. They just, I can see why you picked them. I think another team that kind of fits that for me, I'll just stick with my Midwestern roots, will be Maryland. I think Maryland, has a good record. I think they're a good team. It's kind of good to see Maryland do well again. It's been like a couple
Mm-hmm.
decades since
Mm-hmm.
they had
Very true.
a really good team. But I think I wouldn't put a lot of stock into them going very far in the tournament.
I agree. So you have here your second pick, so Maryland.
Hmm.
All right. So what is the third one?
I'll say the third one. I'm gonna go with Iowa State. Iowa State,
Ooh.
they can look really good. They certainly could make this pick look terrible on my part, but I just think they're another team that tends to have really good regular seasons. They get a good seed in the tournament. People talk about them as being one of these hot seeds, and most of the time they tend to peter out. So I'm going to say Iowa State.
Wow, Iowa State. All right, that's a good one. And again, we all can look very bad on this because not March Madness, so we never know what can happen. I remember when Villanova won, I had them losing the second round. Like so that means you never know in advance.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you have your three. So for me, I started with Tennessee. My second one is Michigan. The Wolverine. I have Michigan State doing very well, and I have Michigan actually not doing very well at all. And that's a rebound year this year. So this year is the year that they actually start coming back after the problem with Coach Howard and
Yeah.
things that happened there. Then coming back. So I'm not rooting against them, but I don't feel like they have what it takes to have a run in the tournament. That's just the way I feel about that. Now, about the other team that I think will be disappointing is Arizona Wildcats. So
Oh,
Arizona, it's always a team I follow because I tend to like the brand a lot. The Wildcats, all the history there, the player coming out of that college. But I don't know. I cannot get used to that coach, his style. I just cannot. And then they have Love, who it seems like he's playing for 8 years in college. I think it's his final senior league. But I thought he played 4 years in North Carolina. I know it's his fourth year in Arizona. But yeah, I don't know. I think that this team is so up and down. And they have a lot of European players. That's also why I like to watch them because they usually attract a lot of good European players. But I don't know the way he play them. I don't feel very high on Arizona. So for me, it's gonna be Arizona, Michigan, and Tennessee for the three disappointing team, and maybe those three will end up in Final Four, and then I can bury myself in a hole. But it's literally those three that I would think. So we both have our three. Let's start now with the fun part. So what are the three teams that are sneaky that they could make a run to the Final Four? So you already
well,
mentioned one, but
Yeah, this team I don't think is necessarily sneaky when you look at their ranking and you look at their record, but they're sneaky in terms of they haven't been this prominent in March Madness, heading into March Madness, and really in my mind since Chris Mullen in the 80s, and that's St. John's. I am all
It's
about
one of the
Rick
three.
Pitino. I want to see Rick Pitino go deep. I'd love to see him back in the Final Four. St. John's plays with a lot of energy. Obviously, I follow Marquette, and so I've seen some of those matchups when St. John's played Marquette. And I just always have liked Pitino. I think he got a there's stuff that happens off the court that I think
Mm.
he paid his price. But I would love to see him make a Final Four run, and I'm all about the St. John's and them making some noise in the tournament.
I go for the three because maybe we have the same three. The first one I had St. John's, so
Yeah, well, this is another one. I wouldn't say this. Well, I do like Houston. I'll throw that out there, but it's not a sneaky team. So because they're ranked number 2 in the country, so I'm not going to go there. I will go a little homer, but I think it's not too much of a homer stretch. I'm not saying this team's going to go to the Final Four, but I think they can knock out some seeds and maybe make the Elite Eight. Is Marquette. So with Marquette, they've had up and down this year. When they're on, and when they're off, they don't look good. But their kryptonite has been Xavier, and they beat Xavier in the Big East tournament, which is why it gave me hope that maybe they will put some things together. So I know I'm going 2 Big East teams with potentially making some noise in the tournament, and I will say the third is Louisville. I think Louisville has they can play with anybody. I don't expect them again to do a major deep run, but could they beat a couple of seeds that are a little ahead of them? I think so. So I don't know. Those are my 3. How about you?
all right. So
I
St.
guess St. John's is one.
St. John's was one. Houston, I was thinking the same way, but St. John's is already a 2 or 3 seats.
Yeah.
Houston 2 seats as well. So let's change and not take but the other two. So Houston, I had number 4 in my top 4.
Oh yeah.
So that was the fourth team, Houston. So
Same.
St. John's definitely just because of this year they are performing extremely well, but they still St. John's.
Yeah.
St. John's. So it's been a while. You mentioned Chris Mullin, but it's been forever. But the story with Pitino, what happened in the middle of the season when he had that broad burst with his team saying like you are not showing nothing. Don't you have some pride? Be a man, and all those things that he said in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And then you have like all some journalists like, oh my god, he speak like that to oh my god, this work thing. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna start. But the that's what you need. That's a leader. It don't have to say, you don't have to say what you need to hear. You need to say what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And that's
Right.
exactly what Pitino is all about. He's old school. He know and we don't have that in camera, but I can tell you that Coach K, he had more than one a year like that with his teams. But of
Oh yeah.
course, he didn't do
Yeah.
that in the locker room with a camera in front of his face because.
Yeah.
But Coach K, I'm sure, had like multi outbursts like that a year. But again, that's the old school kind of leadership. Like shake them, and if you're weak and if you drop next, like
Yeah.
that's the mentality, literally. But I love that. Since then, they lost twice.
Right.
So again, he knows what he's doing. So I really love the story about St. John's. So definitely I'm in agreement with you with that. The second one will be a shocker. Texas Tech.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Wisconsin.
Nah. Texas Tech.
Yeah.
So Texas Tech, I mean, I'm a Longhorns fan. So any other team in Texas, I just despise them. But Texas Tech, the way they play, I saw 3 games. So I saw a bunch of highlights, but I saw 3 full games of Texas Tech. They won 2 of those 3 games, and the one they lost, they should have won. The hard they play with, they play hard, and they have a very good small ball play. So they play fast. They're very aggressive on the 1-2-3 line, meaning that's one win in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like pit bulls, like teams with small pit bulls who are just running around. Like it's super important in the tournament because the games slow down and it's very aggressive. And usually they let players play a lot more, the referees. So that's definitely a team I would keep a close eye on, the Texas Tech team. And that's a surprise because I would have never even mentioned them ever for anything. But I think they deserve it. I know they lost. They lost early in the tournament, actually against Arizona, that I picked to be the disappointing team. But still, I have them like doing something in the tournament, and I may totally be wrong, and I'm be fine with it. And the
No, I like your
second,
rationale that they are a really good team. No
yeah,
doubt about it.
and the other team I have is Clemson. That's the
Ah,
third team I have actually making a note. Again, they lost against your team, Louisville,
yeah,
in the ACC tournament. But Clemson has everything. Clemson has experience, which is super important on next level.
true.
They have shooters, so it's all depend. It goes in, you can go to the end. It goes, if you have a bad shooting night, you can go out against a 13 seed.
Yeah,
So it doesn't. But Clemson has for me everything to go to the Final Four. So they had a stretch of 12, 13 win in a row. They were impressive, and I like the way they play, and I like the coach, and I like the style. Again, it's all about style when you get to the tournament, and I think they
yeah.
have what it takes. So I would say those three. So Clemson, Texas Tech, and St. John's.
All good. Yeah, and that's the beauty of this tournament. Any one of those teams could win it all. I mean, if it falls right, you just never know. And that's why it's so much fun. And that's why it's also so frustrating where you rip up your bracket and then you're like, second chance bracket.
That's why I always stick with one. And
Yeah.
if I'm on multi, if I do multi because work, sometimes they do like a bracket,
Yeah.
and then you have the neighborhoods who do a bracket, and then you have that. I have the same bracket everywhere. So
Yeah.
I don't play the game. I will change this for this one. I will change this for this one. I just keep one bracket. I decide the bracket, and I will do the same everywhere. My goal is not to win a prize. My goal is based on my intuition and my
Yeah.
feeling. That's how I'm going for. So, so yeah. So that's a fun time. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then next couple of weeks, we're gonna discuss definitely when the tournament is over. We're gonna discuss about everything, and we're gonna say, well, we were wrong about this, but we were right about this one. We were right
Yeah.
about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've usually, the last few years, I've done really well in terms of being in the running at the end of the Final Four for winning the bracket whenever I'm part of it. So I don't know. We'll see if I can keep that streak going. It's been 3 years in a row where I've gone into the championship game with the chance to win, and I won it once and lost twice. But I don't know. We'll see. It's fun, and that's the thing. I don't follow college basketball as closely as I used to when I was younger. I used to watch it all the time. Now it's a little bit like what you were saying earlier. Watch some highlights and then watch a few big games. But I still enjoy it. It's the spirit of it. It's the most unpredictable tournament in professional sports. I know you mentioned next week's episode. We'll talk more about it, but it's a ton of fun. So hope all our winners really enjoy it. And any last words you want to share with our winners, Nick, before we sign off?
No, just let us know what you think. Let you know what you think about who is going to be the last four, because everybody who are listening are probably doing a bracket. So so just put the 4 team you have in your final four, and so we can, like play a little bit together and give each other shit about what's going on, and it's gonna be fun. So share your top 4, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Well, thank you, winners. That'll wrap up today's Fanatic Friday episode. Again, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow 2 for the Win on your favorite platform. And if you don't have an account or a site that you use already, please consider Hard Rock Bet. And thanks to Hard Rock Bet for sponsoring today's episode. That'll do it, winners, and we'll chat with you next Fanatic Friday. Take care.
Bye, winners.